Something stirred in you the moment this message found you. You did not seek it out by accident. I brought it to your attention because there are things I have been waiting to say to you. Things that have been forming in the deep places long before you could hear them. This is not a coincidence. This is a moment I arranged for you, in this hour, in this particular season of your life. And I need you to stop, to settle your spirit, and to listen closely, because what I am about to speak to you is not ordinary. It is a word that carries the weight of heaven directly into your situation. I have watched you carry things you were never meant to carry alone. I have seen you move through your days with a quiet ache in your chest, the kind that does not announce itself loudly, but sits with you from morning to night. You have held it together for the sake of those around you. You have smiled when your heart was not smiling. You have kept pressing forward even when you wondered if forward was still a direction available to you. I have seen all of it, every single moment. And I tell you now, with the full certainty of who I am, none of it has gone unnoticed. There is a miracle that belongs to you. It has your name woven into it. It was prepared before you ever walked into the hardest seasons of your life, and nothing that has happened, not a single loss, not a single closed door, not a single night when you lay awake wondering if I was still near, has changed what I have designated for you. But hear me carefully. What belongs to you is also being contested. There are forces of doubt and weariness pressing against your spirit, trying to convince you that your season has already passed, that you waited too long, that the window has closed. Those forces are lying to you. Do not receive their words. Listen closely now. The opposition you have felt is not proof that you are forgotten. It is proof that what I have placed inside your story is worth fighting over. The enemy does not bother attacking what has no power. He troubles those who are close to something that could change everything. If you have been feeling an unusual heaviness lately, a kind of pressure you cannot explain, do not read that as a sign of defeat. Read it as a sign that you are very near to a turning point. What has been pressing against you has not been able to move you from your place. You are still standing. You are still here. And that matters more than you know. I am not coming to you today to remind you of what went wrong. I am not here to rehearse your failures or highlight the places where you fell short. Those things hold no interest for me in this moment. What interests me is your future. What captivates my attention is what I am preparing to release into your life, because it is ready. The season of your long preparation is drawing to its close, and the things I have been making ready are beginning to move into position. You will begin to see small signs of this, little confirmations, moments that feel too precise to be random. Receive them. They are not coincidences. They are signals from me that the chapter is turning. I know the nights have been long. I know there have been hours when you lay still in the dark and your thoughts pressed in hard. I know the weight of wondering if your prayers were reaching me at all, if your trust was placing you somewhere foolish, if the ones around you were right when they suggested you had set your expectations too high. My answer to all of that silence is this. I was always there. I was never distant. What felt like silence was not absence. It was the quiet of a craftsman working with full concentration on something that required his most careful attention. That craftsman was me, and what I was working on was for you. So come closer now. Not with fear, not with the worn-down hope of someone who has been disappointed before, but with the steady expectation of someone whose father has proven himself faithful again and again across time. I'm not starting a new promise today. I'm completing one that has always been yours. I'm moving the final pieces into place for a breakthrough that is already written in the purposes I hold for your life. Stand firm in this. Do not waver. Do not turn back now. Declare your Amen if you receive this word. I did not bring you to this moment so that you could remain on the outside of the life I designed for you. I have been calling you forward from the very beginning, through every circumstance, through every unexpected turn, through every season that confused you or left you uncertain. Each of those seasons was a hallway leading somewhere. Each closed door protected you from a path that was not built for you. Each delay shielded you from receiving something before you were ready to hold it well. You may not have seen it that way at the time. Most people never do. But looking back from where I stand, it is plain. Every single step brought you here. And here is exactly where the next extraordinary thing begins. You have a resilience in you that you have not fully recognized. You dismiss it because it does not feel like strength from the inside. It feels like just getting through. But I tell you, what looks like just getting through from where you stand looks like extraordinary endurance from where I stand. I have watched you choose trust when circumstances gave you no logical reason to trust. I have seen you reach for hope when the evidence around you pointed in the opposite direction. That is not weakness. That is a kind of faith that I treasure. And that faith, my child, is not going unrewarded. Stand firm. I am not asking you to manufacture a confidence you do not feel. Rest in who I am. Your moment is arriving. There are voices that have been speaking against your miracle. I want you to understand them clearly, so that you will stop giving them authority over your heart. These voices are not coming from wisdom. They are coming from fear, and they have taken on many forms. Some have spoken through people around you, people who love you but whose own hope has grown thin. They see your situation and they tell you what their own diminished faith can imagine, which is not very much. Their words were not malicious, but they were not mine either. Do not carry them. Some of the loudest opposition has come from within your own thinking. The voice that says it is too late for you. The voice that reminds you of every attempt that did not succeed. The voice that measures your age, your resources, your record of past mistakes and concludes, there is nothing left worth expecting. That voice knows exactly which wounds to press on. It speaks in a tone that sounds almost reasonable, almost like good sense. But it is the oldest lie there is. It told Sarah she was past her season. It told the disciples the tomb was sealed and the story was over. It has always been wrong, and it is wrong about you. I want to name for you the 3 main ways this opposition moves against you, so you can recognize them the moment they appear. The first is the spirit of doubt. It whispers questions designed not to produce answers, but to unsettle your confidence. What if this does not work out this time? What if I am the exception? What if I read this wrong? The moment you hear those questions taking root, push them out with my word. Speak what I have spoken over you. Declare out loud what I have promised. My word in your mouth is the sharpest answer to every whispered doubt. The second is the spirit of impatience. It urges you to stop waiting and take matters into your own hands. It makes the waiting feel like waste. It suggests that if I truly intended to move, I would have moved by now. So it pushes you to grab for solutions that are beneath what I have planned, to settle for something less because something less is available right now. Do not do it. Impatience has cost many people the very thing I was about to give them. They reach for the nearest door and miss the one I was preparing to open. Active faith waits. It prays, it declares, it holds, and it trusts my timing even when my timing feels long. The third is the spirit of comparison. It turns your eyes to others and manufactures grievance. Why did their answer come so quickly? Why is their life moving while mine feels frozen? Comparison is designed to replace gratitude with resentment, and resentment is a weight that closes the hand that should be open to receive. Your path is not anyone else's path. The things I have prepared for you are not transferable. They were shaped for your life, for your specific need, for the precise contours of your purpose on this earth. No one else's blessing can tell you anything about yours. Speak these words aloud now, if you are willing. Say, I trust you with the timing. I trust you with the way. I believe what you have promised is on its way to me, and I will not forfeit it through fear. Stand in agreement if your spirit says yes. Now I want to tell you about a man named Peter. He had spent an entire night on the water doing what he knew best. He was not lazy. He was not faithless. He worked through the darkness with every skill and every technique he possessed. And he came to the morning with empty hands. No catch. Just exhaustion and the quiet sting of a night that produced nothing. That is a feeling I think you know. The feeling of having put everything you had into something and still coming up short. The effort was real. The weariness was real. But the result was still empty. I came to Peter on the shore, and I gave him an instruction that made no sense from where he was standing. Go back out. Cast your net again. He had already done this. He had done it over and over through the night. But something in him responded. He went back. He did not wait to feel certain. He did not demand that I explain myself first. He simply obeyed in the face of exhaustion and in the face of all previous evidence that said this would not work. And what happened next was so overwhelming that the net could barely contain it. My child, I am standing at the edge of your story today, and I am speaking the same kind of word to you. Not because I am dismissing how tired you are. Not because I am unaware of the long nights behind you. I see all of it. But I also see what is in the water just ahead of you. I know what is waiting if you will launch out one more time. The moment you act in trust, even when everything in you says there is no good reason to, is the moment the impossible becomes immediate. Do not hold back now. You are closer than the empty nets make it feel. What I have prepared is real, it is specific, and it is yours. There is something I want you to see about that moment with Peter. He was not asked to perform something extraordinary. He was asked to do the ordinary thing one more time, the same action that had produced nothing all night, but this time in response to my word. That is the whole difference. The action did not change. The posture behind it changed completely. He moved from human effort to obedient trust, and that shift is the one I am inviting you into right now. So go back to the water, my child. Launch out one more time in trust, rather than in striving. The deep water ahead is exactly where I am waiting for you. I want to talk to you about something that may seem simple, but carries more weight than you have realized. I want to talk about your words. The things you say over yourself, over your situation, over your future. Because what comes out of your mouth is not just sound that fades into the air. Your words are seeds. They go into ground, they take root, and they produce fruit, whether you intend them to or not. When you say that you will never find a way through this, you are building walls. When you say that it is too late for you, you are writing a conclusion before the story has ended. When you say that nothing ever works out for you, you are creating an agreement with the opposition, and closing the space where my provision needs to move. I am not asking you to ignore your reality. I am asking you to stop letting your reality be the final word. My word is the final word. And my word says you are provided for. My word says you are not forgotten. My word says the best of what I have for you is not behind you. This is not a matter of pretending. It is a matter of alignment. When your mouth speaks in agreement with what I have promised, something shifts in the unseen realm. Agreements made in faith unlock movement. Declarations rooted in my word create an opening for my power to work in ways your circumstances alone cannot explain. So I am asking you, starting from this moment, to be deliberate about what you say. Not because I am a rigid authority counting your words, but because I am a father who knows what your declarations do to your own spirit and to the atmosphere around you. Say this: what I am walking through is not my ending. My best days are ahead. The one who holds my future is faithful, and I trust him with every part of my life. Speak it plainly. Speak it again if you need to. Let your spirit hear it from your own voice. Because the faith I am calling out of you is not a feeling that waits for evidence before it speaks. It is a choice that speaks first, and then waits for the evidence to follow. I want to tell you about a woman who understood this before she ever opened her mouth. She had been carrying a sickness for 12 years. Not 1 year, not 2, 12. She had tried every available remedy. She had given what resources she had to every source of help she could find. And still she was not well. The reasonable voice in her situation had a great deal of evidence on its side. It had 12 years of evidence. It had empty hands and a depleted life and every practical reason to conclude that change was no longer available to her. But something rose up inside her that was not reasonable. It was faith. And faith does not run the same calculations that reason runs. She heard I was nearby, and she moved toward me, not waiting for a sign, not waiting for permission, not waiting until she felt more certain. She moved first. She decided that if she could get close enough to even brush the edge of what I carried, that would be enough. And the moment she acted on that decision, healing flowed from me to her so immediately that I felt it go. What 12 years of effort had not accomplished, 1 moment of moving faith did. Because she did not wait to see before she acted. She acted, and then she saw. I am asking you to move in the same way right now. Not to wait until everything feels right. Not to hold back until the circumstances line up into something more encouraging, but to act in trust with what is in front of you. Because when faith moves, I move with it. Your miracle is not waiting for your situation to change. Your situation is waiting for your faith to move. There's a moment in every breakthrough where the person who receives it had to act before they had full evidence. Every story I have written that changed everything began with someone deciding to trust me at the exact point where trusting made the least logical sense. That is the moment I have been preparing you for. That moment is now. My child, I am asking you to place a portion of what you have, something of real weight, upon the altar of this work, as gold laid on the scales of this calling. Let it be a seed sown into deep water, an offering set on stone, not held back in fear. This is proof that your trust rests in my hand to provide, and that your heart no longer clings to lack. What you release in faith does not leave your life. It moves ahead of you, into the harvest I'm preparing. I did not call you close to this moment, just to have you leave the same way you arrived. Something is meant to shift in you here. I am asking you not to receive these words as a pleasant thought, and then return to everything exactly as it was. Faith that does not produce action is not the kind of faith that moves anything, but faith that steps forward, even in uncertainty, even with trembling hands. That is the faith I have always responded to. That is the faith that rewrote history in the hands of ordinary people who simply decided to trust me more than they trusted their fear. What I am placing in your path right now, you will not get to by standing still. You will get to it by moving, by choosing, by releasing what has held you and reaching toward what I am holding for you. The woman who was healed did not receive her miracle while she was talking herself out of it. She received it while she was moving toward me. Let that be what this moment means for you. Move toward me, right now. One step. I will be right there to meet you. There is something I want you to understand about every season of waiting you have endured. None of it was punishment. None of it was neglect. Every delay you experienced had a function, even the ones that felt most silent, even the ones that stretched beyond what felt reasonable or fair. What appears from the inside as time going to waste is often from where I stand, time being used with great precision. I do not let your seasons pass without purpose. I am not a God who marks time carelessly. Abraham and Sarah waited 25 years for a promise I had spoken clearly over their lives. 25 years. Think about what that number means in a human life. Years of holding a word that had no evidence around it. Years of watching time move in the direction that seemed to argue against everything I had said. Every practical voice in their world would have agreed that the moment had passed. Biology agreed, age agreed, reason agreed, but my word did not expire. My word does not expire. And when the moment I had always intended finally came, Sarah laughed with a joy so full she could not contain it. What arrived was not less than what I had promised because of the wait. It was exactly what I had said, and it carried the added weight of having stood through every reason not to believe it. Your wait has not diminished what I have prepared for you. It has deepened it. Every year of faithfulness in the lean season is a year I have taken into account. Every choice to keep trusting when the evidence was thin is something I have not missed. What you are about to receive carries the full measure of everything I intended for you before the waiting began. The delay did not reduce the promise. The delay was preparation for the person who would receive it. I want to tell you about a woman named Hagar, who found herself in a desert with nothing left. The water was gone. Hope had run out. She moved her child away so she would not have to watch what was coming. She had arrived at what felt like the absolute end of her options. And in that place, I opened her eyes, not to something that arrived from outside, but to a well that was already there, already present, that she had not been able to see through her despair. I did not create a new source for her in that moment. I simply opened her eyes to what I had already placed nearby. It was always there. She could not see it until she called out to me. My child, hear me say this carefully. There are things I have already placed near you that your discouragement has kept you from seeing. Sources of provision, doors of possibility, people who are positioned to be part of your breakthrough, things that are already present in the landscape of your life. You have been looking so hard at what is missing that you have not yet seen what is already there. I am asking you to let me open your eyes, not to something coming from far away, but to what I have already quietly prepared and placed within reach. Then there is Job. He knew what it was to lose almost everything that mattered. Everything that gave his life its visible shape seemed to fall away at once. The people around him offered explanations that were wrong, conclusions drawn from a view too small to see what I was doing. Job did not understand what was happening, but he held on. He argued with me, which is not the same as turning from me. He brought his grief and his confusion to my doorstep and stayed there. And what came after that long season of holding on was a restoration that exceeded what had been. Not a pale echo of his former life, a fuller, richer version. I am the God of restoration. That is not a figure of speech. It is what I do. What you feel you have lost, I am not finished with. Relationships you thought were beyond repair are not beyond my reach. Strength you believe has been permanently depleted is not beyond my renewing. Dreams you set aside because they seem to belong to a younger, less weathered version of yourself are not forgotten. I placed those desires inside you. They did not originate with you. They came from me, which means I have every intention of bringing them to life. The years you consider lost are years I intend to restore with abundance. Every season of waiting is followed by a season of return, and your return is coming. I am already working on the specifics. I am arranging the people, shaping the circumstances, moving the pieces that are not visible to you yet. My preparation is never superficial. When I work ahead of time on your behalf, I do it with full knowledge of every detail your situation requires. Nothing is being improvised. Everything is being prepared. And when the prepared thing finally meets your prepared heart, what unfolds will be more than you could have mapped out from where you stood during the waiting. You are closer to that meeting point than any previous season of your life. Much closer. The light that felt so far away is now near enough to warm you. Open yourself to it. Do not contract back into the safety of low expectations. Dare to believe, again, that what I say is true. Not because the evidence has fully arrived, but because I have never once failed to deliver what I have spoken. Hold your expectation open. Let it be wide. I am not in the business of half measures. I am filling every part of what you have set before me, and I intend to overflow it. The restoration I am preparing for you is not a partial recovery. It is not a smaller version of what was. It is the full thing, returned and amplified, with the marks of my faithfulness pressed all through it. What I restore to you will not look like a reduced version of what was. It will look like abundance. I need to speak to you about something that may be the heaviest thing you are carrying without fully realizing it. It is the weight of what others have done to you. The wounds that came from people who were supposed to be safe. The betrayals that arrived from directions you never anticipated. The disappointments from those you gave your trust to and who handled it carelessly. You have not talked much about some of these things. They live in the quieter places of you. But I see them. And I know how much energy it takes to carry what you were never designed to hold. There are people in your story who hurt you. Some of them did it knowingly. Some of them did it without understanding the damage they caused. Some of them were broken people who passed their brokenness on, because that is all they had to give in that season. And some of them you have forgiven already, but some you have not. And the unforgiveness, my child, is a chain. It does not punish the one who wronged you. It keeps you anchored to the moment of the wound, unable to move freely into what I have ahead for you. I am not asking you to pretend the harm did not happen. It did happen. I am not asking you to return to what was unsafe, or to trust again someone who has not given you any reason to trust them. Wisdom and forgiveness are not opposites. You can forgive someone fully and still protect the ground of your life from being harmed again. What I'm asking is something specific and precise. I am asking you to release the right of revenge, to stop carrying the debt, to hand it to me, who sees everything clearly and will settle every account justly. That is not your work. That is mine. When you release that weight, something happens inside you that you cannot manufacture through any other means. Space opens. Not just emotional space, but spiritual space. Space where new things can enter. Space where I can move without obstruction. Some of the breakthrough you have been waiting for is on the other side of that release. Not because I am withholding until you perform correctly, but because the bitterness itself has been functioning like a closed hand. An open hand can receive. A clenched one cannot. Here is something worth sitting with. Where you have been broken and have allowed me to heal you, that is where you are now strongest. When a bone fractures and is properly set and healed, the point of fracture becomes denser than the surrounding structure. The place that broke is, in the end, more resistant than what never broke at all. Your healed wounds are not your weaknesses. They are the most unbreakable parts of you. The enemy spent his best effort on those places, and they held. What does that tell you? It tells you that you are more durable than you have given yourself credit for. It tells you that you have already survived what was meant to stop you. I am the God of new beginnings. This is not a title I hold casually. It is the consistent story of every life I have ever worked in. No matter how many times a person has stumbled, no matter how far off course a life has drifted, I am not done writing. Every morning that comes is a statement from me. It is mercy made visible. It is a declaration that the story is still open, that today carries possibility that yesterday did not exhaust. You have not run out of new beginnings. You have not used up the capacity I built into your story for fresh starts. I know you have tried to protect yourself from further hurt by keeping your expectations low. You have learned to not want too much, so that if things fall short again, the distance between expectation and reality is smaller. I understand why you built that protection. It was a reasonable response to real pain, but it is also keeping you from receiving what I intend to give you. I am asking you to dismantle that protection carefully, not to leave yourself exposed to foolishness, but to open yourself to the possibility that what I am bringing toward you is genuinely good, not a trick, not something that will collapse when you touch it. Something real, something lasting, something worthy of your trust. You do not need to become someone different to receive what I have for you. You do not need to perform a version of yourself that is more polished or more certain or more spiritually impressive. I know exactly who you are in your most unguarded moments. I have seen all of it, every stumble, every fear, every quiet moment of doubt. And I chose you fully, not a cleaned-up version of you. The acceptance I extend to you is not conditional on your improvement. It is already complete. Rest in that. Let it settle. You do not need to earn what I am giving. You only need to receive it. Look up now. Lift your gaze from the ground of past losses and the weight of old wounds. What is ahead of you is not defined by what is behind you. I have set your future beyond the reach of your past, and I am inviting you to step into it, unencumbered, free of the chains that have held you in yesterday. Say it aloud now if your heart is ready. Say, I release what held me. I step forward. I receive what is prepared for me. If your spirit agrees, let this be your declaration of trust. I am right here, holding what you have trusted me with, and I will not let it go to waste. Not a single part of your story, not the struggle, not the waiting, not the releasing. It is all in my hands, and what I hold, I transform. Every single part of you is in the hands that form the world, and those hands are entirely trustworthy. My hands do not return what they receive in the same condition they received it. They return it, healed, strengthened, and multiplied. You are completely safe here. I want to tell you something you may not have heard in a long time, or perhaps ever heard in quite this way. I am proud of you. Not proud in the way that requires you to have succeeded impressively, or to have handled everything without stumbling. Proud in the way a parent is proud of a child who kept getting up. Proud of the way you have chosen again and again to stay in the conversation with me, even when the conversation felt one-sided. Proud of the mornings you rose and kept going when you had every emotional reason to simply stop. The world measures value by outcomes. I measure it differently. I look at the heart that kept trusting when there was no visible reward for trusting. And what I see in yours deserves to be honored. You have given kindness to people who did not return it. You have been patient with situations that tested your limits. You have stayed generous in seasons when you did not have much to give. Those things were not invisible to me, not a single one of them. What you sow in hidden faithfulness does not disappear. It accumulates, it builds, and you are approaching the season where the harvest of all that faithful, quiet, unrewarded sowing is beginning to arrive. Now let me tell you what I see ahead for you. Because this is not a season like the ones before it. What is coming is different in kind. Not just a slight improvement on your current circumstances, but a genuine step into a new level of life. Doors that have been sealed will open without you forcing them. People who can play a meaningful part in your story will arrive at exactly the right time. Opportunities that seemed entirely out of reach will come within arm's length, not because you chased them down, but because I directed them toward you. This is not wishful language. This is what happens when the preparation season ends and the release season begins. I want you to understand something important about what I am bringing, though. The blessing that is coming is not just for you alone. Your miracle has a reach that goes beyond your own life. There are people whose faith has grown thin, people who are right on the edge of giving up, people who need to see with their own eyes that I still work, that what I say still comes to pass, that the long wait does not mean I forgot. Your story, when it reaches the other side of this, is going to be that evidence for someone else. Your testimony will do in another person's heart what no persuasive argument can do. It will show them a life, a real one with real difficulties and real waiting, and a real God who is faithful through all of it. That is part of why this breakthrough has been worth the weight of the preparation. It is not just about what changes in your life, as meaningful as that is. It is about what your changed life speaks into the lives of others who have needed proof that hope is not foolish, that trust is not wasted, that I am still the God who answers. You are being prepared not only to receive, but to carry something that will ripple outward in ways you cannot currently measure. I also need to prepare you for something. In the days just ahead, there may be one final place of pressure before the opening comes. I am telling you this not to discourage you, but so that when it comes you will recognize it for what it is. It is not a sign that things are falling apart. It is the moment that almost always precedes a breakthrough, the place where the press is most intense, because what is about to emerge is most powerful. When you feel that pressure, do not read it as defeat. Read it as the signal that you are right at the threshold. Think of it this way. Before a new day fully arrives, the darkness just before the dawn is at its deepest. Not because light is retreating, but because the light is about to break. You are in that space right now. The dark is deep, But the dawn is genuinely near. I am not simply saying this to comfort you. I am saying it because it is true, and I do not speak things that are not true. When that final test comes, do not face it alone. Bring it to me. Do not carry it in silence or try to resolve it by the strength of your own reasoning. Come with it openly and let me be what I have always been to you. Your source, your support, your place of refuge. I will be closer in that moment than I have ever felt. My hand will be under you. My words will rise in you. You will not fall. I have made sure of that. And when it passes, when you come through that final place of pressing, you will look back at it the way you now look back at every other difficulty you survived, with the clear knowledge that I was in it, that you were not alone, and that it served a purpose you could not see in the middle of it. Stand firm for this last stretch. Do not measure the distance still remaining. Look at me instead. Fix your eyes on who I am rather than on how far it still feels. I am right there at the finish line of this season, and I am already holding what I promised you. It has your name on it. My child, I have never let go of you. Not in the valleys, not in the silences, not in the seasons when you felt most unseen. My grip on your life has not loosened once, and I am not about to loosen it now, when the very thing I have been preparing is finally ready to be placed in your hands. You are not approaching your end. You are approaching your arrival. Feel the difference. Let it settle into the deepest part of you. This is not the end of the road. This is where the road opens wide. I want to close this with something that has always been true about you. Something that your hardest seasons may have obscured but never managed to erase. You were not brought into this world by accident. Your existence is not the product of random chance or indifferent forces. I formed you. I thought about you before the first breath of your life. I knew the particular shape of what you would need, the specific kind of resilience you would have to develop, the unique purpose that only you in all of time could carry. There is no one else who can do what you were made to do. Not a duplicate, not a substitute. You are singular in my design, and that design has not been canceled by any difficulty you have walked through. This matters because I want you to stop carrying the question of whether you are enough. The answer is settled. It is not settled by your performance or your track record or your sense of personal worthiness. It is settled by who I am and by the fact that I made you. I do not make things that are without value. I do not bring a person through what you have been through and then set them aside as something that did not work out. You worked out exactly as I intended. The seasons that refined you did what refinement does. They took away what was impure and they left what is real. What is standing in front of me right now is the truest version of you, the one I was always working toward. Now I want to speak plainly about what moving forward actually looks like from here, because it is not complicated. It does not require you to have it all figured out. It does not require perfect certainty or an absence of questions. Moving forward simply means waking up tomorrow and choosing to trust that I am who I say I am, and that what I have promised, I am delivering. That is the whole of it. One day, one choice, one step, and then another after that. The path in front of you will not always be fully visible before you step onto it. That is the nature of faith. It moves on the word of the one giving the direction, not on the full visibility of where the direction leads. But hear me say this. Every path I have called someone onto, I have already walked. There is no stretch of road ahead of you that is unknown to me. Where you are going, I have already been. I have cleared what needed clearing. I have marked what you need to notice. I have stationed what you need along the way. You will not step into anything alone. The tiredness you carry today is real. I do not want you to dismiss it or perform energy you do not have. But I also want you to know that what I am releasing into your body and your spirit right now is not based on your current supply. I have a supply that does not run low. What you need for the next step will be available when you need it. Not before and not too late. Exactly when it is required. I have never given my children more than they could carry, and I have never withheld what they genuinely needed for the path I placed them on. Some of what I am giving you now will arrive quietly. A shift in a relationship. A door you walk past and then feel drawn back to. A sense of peace about a decision that has seemed impossible to make. Some of it will arrive with more force, something unmistakable. Something that stops you and makes you say, "This is you." Both kinds are real. Both kinds carry my intention. Do not miss the quiet ones in your hunger for the dramatic ones. I speak in both registers, and the quiet ones often carry the direction for the larger things that follow. I am calling you to move with a new quality of confidence from this point forward. Not a confidence in yourself alone, because that kind of confidence has limits and you know it, but a confidence rooted in who I am. A confidence that says, I do not know exactly how this resolves, but I know the one who holds the resolution, and I know his record, and I trust him. That is an unshakable foundation. Nothing that comes against you can destabilize a confidence rooted there, because it is not built on anything that circumstances can touch. The dreams that have felt dormant inside you, the ones you protected from your own expectation because they seemed too large or too unlikely, bring them back out. I placed them there. They belong there. They are not proof that you want too much. They are indicators of what I built you for. Begin to hold them again, carefully, with an open hand, rather than a desperate grip. Trust me with them. Tell me, this is what I sense inside me, and I give it to you. Let me carry those desires with you, because the one who placed them there is fully capable of bringing them to pass. Walk forward now, my child. Not with the exhausted steps of someone who has barely survived the road behind them. Walk with the steady, sure steps of someone who knows they are accompanied, who knows where the path leads, who knows the one holding their hand. What is ahead of you is not a smaller life. It is not a diminished version of what you hoped for. It is the full thing, the whole and rich and purposeful life I had in mind when I first breathed your name into being. There is nothing left to fear. There is nothing left to hold back. All you need to do is take my hand and step forward with me, and let this be the moment your new season truly begins. Speak your yes aloud if you are ready, and take my hand. I am already there, waiting for you, with everything I promised held out in my hands. Come. This is the moment you have been moving toward, and it is good. It is very good.
We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.